Welcome back to Relax with History. Tonight, as the world outside quiets down, find a comfortable place for yourself. It could be your favorite chair or your cozy bed. Relax your shoulders, let your mind unwind, and with me, let us turn the pages of an old story from a time long ago. In that time, stone castles rose across Europe. Powerful kings and queens wore splendid garments and held grand ceremonies beneath golden light. But within all that splendor, there was one curious detail. Many medieval monarchs would rarely, if ever, bathe. Some only bathed 2 or 3 times in an entire lifetime. Why was that? Was it because water was unclean? Or was there an even stranger reason? Tonight, let us uncover this story, softly and calmly, like a tale told beside the gentle flicker of a candle. In those days, Europe in the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th centuries was a land of stone castles and wide open fields. Dirt roads lay beneath ancient trees, and small villages nestled below cathedral spires. Life then seemed grand for its time, but was simple and often crude by our standards. Those grand castles were cold and damp, without central heating or modern bathrooms. Water came from wells, rivers, and streams, but was seldom truly clean, polluted by human and animal waste. In such a world, regular bathing was an uncommon practice. In those days, the people of Europe viewed water in ways quite different from how we see it today. They believed that the human body was made of delicate balances and that the skin was a protective barrier. When exposed to hot water, the pores of the skin were thought to open wide, and through those open pores, foul air, called miasma, and invisible sickness could seep in. Hot water could weaken the body and leave it vulnerable to all manner of illness. The physicians of the time taught that the natural oils of the skin protected health. Frequent washing would strip away these oils, making one prone to disease. Because of this, many people feared the idea of full-body bathing. Instead, they preferred to wash only their hands and faces with cool water and gentle cloths. And when absolutely necessary, they would bathe quickly and dry themselves thoroughly to avoid chills. In this way, water was both valued and feared. It was precious, but it was not trusted for the health of the body. The act of bathing was not a daily ritual as it is now, but something rare and often avoided. And so, through this belief, bathing slowly faded from daily life in many castles and homes. The beliefs of the time were shaped not only by old ideas of health, but also by the teachings of the Church. Medieval Europe was deeply religious. The Church guided nearly every aspect of life, from how one prayed to how one cared for the body. Religious leaders taught that too much attention to the body was a sign of vanity. Bathing, especially in public baths, was sometimes seen as indulgent or even sinful. Many monks, nuns, and priests practiced self-denial by refraining from bathing. Cleanliness of the soul was far more important than cleanliness of the skin. At the same time, medieval doctors still followed the ancient teachings of the 4 humors. They believed that each person's health depended on the careful balance of 4 fluids in the body: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. Bathing, too often, they thought, could upset this balance. The warmth of hot water might cause the blood to thin or the humors to shift. As a result, a person could fall ill. Thus, religious teachings and medical advice together warned people away from regular bathing. In the minds of kings, queens, and common folk alike, it seemed safer to avoid baths altogether. The idea of cleansing the spirit was far more comforting than scrubbing the skin. And so, the practice of bathing fell further into disuse. Among the many stories from this time, one stands out most clearly. It is the tale of King Louis XIV of France, known as the Sun King. Louis was one of the most powerful monarchs of his age. He ruled from the Grand Palace of Versailles, a place of glittering halls and endless beauty. Yet, within this grand palace, Louis himself rarely bathed. It is said that throughout his life, the king bathed only twice. On both occasions, he became gravely ill afterward. The physicians of the court blamed the baths for his sickness. After this, Louis refused further bathing. Instead, his servants would wipe his body with cloths soaked in perfumed water, and the king would wear layers of fragrant oils and powders. His clothing was changed often, and fresh linen was worn beneath the rich fabrics. In this way, Louis, like many nobles, sought to mask the natural odors of the body. He was not alone in this practice. Across the courts of Europe, many kings, queens, and nobles followed similar habits. Bathing was rare. Perfumed cloths, scented oils, and fine linen became the means of cleanliness. In the eyes of the court, this was both proper and fashionable. It is strange for us to imagine today, but at that time, it was simply the way of things. Such were the beliefs and customs of the medieval world. In a world where full bathing was rare, people sought other ways to care for their bodies. Thus, an entire culture of dry bathing began to flourish. In noble courts and great houses, perfumers became highly valued. They crafted delicate fragrances, from roses, jasmine, lavender, and musk. These scents were mixed with oils and powders, carefully applied to the skin. It was believed that these perfumes could both mask odors and protect the body from illness. At the same time, bundles of dried herbs were used in homes and bedrooms. These were hung from wooden beams, placed beneath pillows, and stored in wardrobes. The herbs might include lavender, rosemary, sage, and chamomile. Their gentle scents filled the air, providing a sense of freshness and calm. Linen clothing also played an important role. Nobles would wear fine linen shirts and undergarments close to the skin. These linens absorbed sweat and oils and were changed regularly. Rather than washing the skin itself, they believed it was enough to change the linen and apply perfumes. At great feasts and royal gatherings, the air would be thick with fragrance. Perfume was used so heavily that some visitors found it overwhelming. But for the nobles, this was not only fashionable, it was also believed to protect against disease. The world of scent became a substitute for the practice of bathing, and so the customs of dry bathing continued for many years. Beyond the question of bathing, the daily life of medieval people involved many other challenges of hygiene. Toilets, for example, were quite primitive by modern standards. In castles, small chambers known as garderobes were built into the outer walls. These narrow spaces had simple wooden seats, with a hole beneath. Waste would drop down, falling into a pit or into the moat below. There were no flushing systems, no plumbing. The design was basic and often unpleasant. In the homes of ordinary people, the situation was no better. Many used chamber pots, which would then be emptied into the streets in towns and cities. It was common for people to throw dirty water or waste from upper windows. The streets often ran with filth, and the air was heavy with unpleasant smells. Few understood the importance of proper waste disposal. Disease spread quickly in such conditions. Yet this was the reality of medieval life. Amid grand castles and shining armor, these humble facts remained. Such was the world in which kings, nobles, and common folk lived each day. At the heart of medieval fears about bathing was one powerful belief. Many thought that bathing could cause sickness. Across Europe, terrible plagues had swept through the land. The most feared of these was the Black Death, which had claimed millions of lives. Without understanding germs or bacteria, people searched for explanations. They noticed that some who bathed fell ill soon after. Perhaps their bodies, warmed by hot water, were weakened. Perhaps the open pores allowed bad air to enter. These observations led to a simple conclusion. Bathing was dangerous. Doctors at the time warned that excessive bathing could disturb the body's natural balance. They advised against it, especially during times of plague. And so, even those who might have enjoyed bathing chose to avoid it. Fear and caution shaped their choices. To us today, such beliefs may seem strange. Yet in their time, they were an effort to understand and survive a world filled with unseen dangers. In this way, the belief that bathing caused illness became deeply rooted in medieval life. For many centuries, these customs remained unchanged. People continued to avoid bathing. Perfumes, scented oils, and linen remained the main ways to stay clean. But in time, the world began to change. During the 18th and 19th centuries, new ideas spread across Europe. Science and medicine advanced. Doctors began to understand more about the human body and disease. Germs, once unknown, were discovered. People learned that many illnesses were caused not by air or bathing, but by bacteria and poor hygiene. Clean water systems were built in cities. Public bathhouses reappeared, but now with a new purpose. Bathing was no longer seen as dangerous. Instead, it became a way to protect health. At the same time, the Industrial Revolution brought new inventions. Indoor plumbing, running water, and private baths slowly became part of daily life. Fashion also changed. Heavy perfumes gave way to the light scents we know today. Freshness, rather than masking odor, became the new goal. Across Europe, more and more people began to bathe regularly. What had once been rare became routine. And so, after many long centuries, the old fear of bathing finally faded away. Today, we see bathing as a natural part of life. Most of us bathe daily without a second thought. Hot showers and gentle soaps are part of our routine. It is strange to think how different things once were. Yet perhaps we can understand, in some small way, the choices of those long ago. They lived in a world of uncertainty, of invisible dangers. Without the knowledge we now have, they followed the wisdom of their time. And in recent years, some modern movements have questioned our own habits. Certain groups now suggest using less soap or fewer chemicals to protect the skin's natural balance. In a small way, we may be circling back to some of the old ideas, seeking not only to be clean, but to be kind to the body. Thus, the story of bathing continues to evolve, even today. And so, our story for tonight comes to a gentle close. We have wandered through stone castles and quiet chambers. We have glimpsed the lives of kings and queens. We have seen how old beliefs shaped simple acts, like the way one bathes. Thank you, dear listener, for staying with me through this journey. If quiet stories like this bring you peace, then I hope we will meet again soon. Until then, I wish you a restful night and the sweetest of dreams. Good night, asterisk.